Hello, everybody. Welcome to Live from the Tower, your weekly Destiny show. So we took a couple weeks hiatus. One, because my computer decided to malfunction, and it took a little while for me to get everything sorted. And then two, because I had a bit of a nasal and throat thing that kind of put me out of commission for a week. That's kind of why my voice sounds the way it is today. But we're back, and we are going to talk about the final shape. I have a more thought out, detailed video in the works, which you can check out over on the YouTube channel. The link for the YouTube channel, if you're listening on Spotify, will be in the video description. Not video description, but the podcast description. You know what I'm talking about. So final shape, just kind of base thoughts, base reactions. I posted this over on Twitter yesterday. The final shape is arguably the best expansion Bungie has put out. Zephyr Blade, longtime listeners of the podcast, you may remember him. If you're new to the podcast, Zephyr Blade is one of my clanmates, and he's kind of my mentor through Destiny, and he helps me do end game level content. I'm going to quote him. He said, "Forsaken sat in the chair for a long time, but final shape is now in the chair." Basically, interpret that how you will. To me, that's saying Forsaken was king. Now we have a new monarchy, the final shape. I mean, if you go on Twitter, everywhere across the board, it's nothing but praises. You have dissenters on social media that are complaining about dual Destiny and complaining about this and complaining about that, but that's the Destiny community as a whole, right? No matter how good things are, people will complain about something. That being said, narrative, very good. I thought finally hearing Keith David as Zavala, he did a fantastic job. The narrative did not go the way I thought it was going to go, which is good because whatever expectations I had, they were changed. The one thing I don't know if we actually had in the campaign was the mysterious voice we heard in the trailer. I don't think we saw that in the campaign. It might be in one of the exotic missions I haven't completed yet, but nonetheless, really good. Character interactions, fantastic. Progression and pacing through the campaign, even better. They didn't give us all the Pale Heart weapons like we've gotten in Witch Queen or in Lightfall. We get the call, and then I think we get No Hesitations, which is the auto rifle. But other than that, you don't get the rest of the weapons until post-campaign. And we'll talk about post-campaign in a second. But main campaign, really good. Character interactions, really great. Cade 6, fantastic. And it really does try to push you through the campaign. There was, I don't know if it's still like this because I haven't played any other characters beside my Warlock. During launch week, up until the raid, there was a debuff on the character screen where you kind of see all your like XP buffs when you go into your inventory. And it was something like the final shape draws near, the air fizzle, like it was a little descriptive text to make you kind of feel the weight. Like, listen, the final shape's coming. The witness is pulling out all the stops. You need to be in the Pale Heart doing the campaign. If you did leave the Pale Heart to go to the tower for anything, you did get a pop-up saying, hey, go to the Pale Heart, do the campaign, finish the campaign, and then come back and do everything. That's how it's set up. You know, we've had previous expansions Beyond Light through Lightfall where you start the campaign and then you get the seasonal quest, and it's like, hey, you know, Lightfall was you start the intro campaign, you get to the Cloud Strider's perch, and then Mara gives you a message and says, when you're done, come help me on Earth. But you can leave at whatever time and do Season of Defiance stuff, you know, no questions asked. This really drove home the no, this story is you need to play this start to finish. Like, you can do other stuff, but narratively, this needs to be done start to finish, and it needs to be done first. It takes priority. I love that. Having a, not singular, but having a straightforward zone with the Pale Heart, linear, that's the word I'm looking for. Having a linear zone and a linear story progression, I think is one of the best things Bungie has done in a campaign, hands down. It reminded me somewhat of The Taken King and somewhat of Rise of Iron, and obviously Forsaken, where it's like, here, you're gonna go beat for beat for beat for beat for beat, but having it all contained in one place instead of going to different planets and different zones. The Taken King, like, it makes sense. You have to go get the stealth drive, and then you have to go to the bunker, and you have to do X, Y, and Z, and then you're on the Dreadnought. Cool. Rise of Iron, the same thing. You go to the Iron Temple, and then you find a way to stop Sepix, and you go back and forth. Like, it makes sense. this expansion, having it all contained into the Pale Heart, I think is fantastic. If we get another expansion in Destiny 2, I don't know if we're going to. We don't really know what Frontiers is. I think Frontiers is going to be more episodes. We could talk about that in a little bit later. I think if you hear meowing, my cat's in the background. She's having a time today. If you have a linear destination and a linear story, everything feels cohesive. And I think that's been one of the narrative problems for Destiny in the past. While the expansions have been good to okay to great, you need cohesion in the story you're telling. And that's exactly what this was. So those are my initial thoughts. Campaign, fantastic. Gear, really fun. The Call is arguably the best gun in the expansion. So far, it's the most used gun I think anybody's using right now. Prismatic is absolutely bonkers. I haven't taken it off since you unlock it in the expansion. And again, this is another thing they got right. They learned from Lightfall and they learned from Beyond Light. You unlock Prismatic in the first mission and you can use it the entire time. And they give you a good amount of stuff to play with. You get 2 fragments, you get a bunch of aspects, you get grenades, melee abilities, class abilities, you get all this stuff, a couple supers, and then as you play the campaign, you unlock more pieces. You can find hidden chests that give you more aspects, more fragments, more toys to play with. So by the time you get to the final mission, you have a good amount of stuff to kind of tool around with, and you can go to the Pale Heart where there's a vault, where there's a post box, and you can kind of, you know, use dim, whatever you want, pull the gear you want, you can mix and match. I saw that Prismatic worked really well with Getaway Artist launch. I haven't taken it off since. But that's my Prismatic subclass. It's the one everyone was using at launch with stasis turrets and Feed the Void. The only thing I've changed is I'm using the Fire Snaps and I'm using Song of Flame, which you unlock towards the end of the expansion. I can't speak on Hunter, I can't speak on Titan, but for Warlock, Prismatic is super fun. It's super powerful. Song of Flame is arguably one of the best supers in the game now. I had messaged Zeph and Blade and said, hey, I'm really gonna miss those quick up times for the abilities with Song of Flame, because in my head, I thought that was just for the scripted event in which you get that stuff. But no, Song of Flame is really that fast. It's grenade, melee, grenade, melee, grenade, melee, and it's just this loop, and it's really powerful, and it's really fun. So again, they've learned there's no really like messy, convoluted acquisition of prismatic fragments and abilities. You unlock a bunch of stuff during the campaign and you can get everything post-campaign. So you can get the full subclass unlocked relatively quickly. From what I've heard, everyone's had fun with it. Post-campaign, there are a bunch of quests. There's adventures they brought back. There's triumphs to get, there's secrets to unlock, there's a bunch of stuff to do. You have the new character Micah 10, who was introduced in Beyond Light. You have a bunch of quests for them, which get you the rest of the Pale Heart weapons and the Pale Heart armor. And again, they learned from past mistakes. Once you finish those quests, the armor is unlocked on all your characters. Now, I don't know if the quests are repeatable where you can do them again. They might be. If they are, you just don't get the armor. But because it's already unlocked, you can now go to Ghost and you can unlock the armor. It's just really well done. The secrets are fun. I am bashing my head against the wall. There's a secret chest that you need these drops to unlock, and I'm just having a hard time finding the rest of them. I don't want to use a guide. I want to do it blind. I feel like I'm close. From what I've heard from my friends who have done everything, the exotic quests are really fun and they're challenging. Dual Destinies requires you to use 2 Guardians and actually communicate with each other. I did it with a friend of mine in my clan. We kind of unlocked it and we jumped in, and honestly, it's a gear check. Like, the new power system is great, which I'll touch on in a second. They really, want you to be gear ready. Let's talk about the raid real quick and the 12-man activity. I did the 12-man activity. It's really fun. That's what gives you the true ending of the expansion. The ending is a tearjerker. I cried. It was insane. The raid, I've only done the first encounter, and it's really fun, and it's really communicative, and it's really like, it was described to me as, this is the raid where you become legend. That's really cool, and I can't wait to go through the rest of the raid. Power, we've kind of previewed the new power system going in. I think the new power system's great. I actually love the grind. I've been grind. I actually haven't done the actual power grind where you do your powerfuls and you do your pinnacles, and I'm still getting world drops that are leveling me up. It's fantastic. Let's talk about Echoes. Echoes is the first episode. That's their new way going forward, is they're doing episodes, 3 acts, huge 200 level season pass, spread out across a couple months. Great. It's okay. There's a main quest. There's a sub quest that you can do side by side. There's a secret mission that I solved. That's another gear check. They brought some Season of the Dawn weapons back. There's some new weapons which are really cool. But other than that, it's kind of more of the same. You know, you do your 3-man activity, you unlock bonuses, you go to Nessus to do a bunch of stuff. It's kind of the same. Does that mean it's going to stay the same? We have no idea. Episodes going forward, we got a glimpse at episode 2. We got a glimpse at episode 3. Those look really cool. And then we've got what year 11 is going to be, which is codenamed right now Destiny 2 Frontiers. In my opinion, whatever this is going to lead to Destiny 3. I don't see them doing 3 years of episodes. I really don't. Unless they need 3 years of episodes to get to Destiny 3. I don't see episodes as being the only thing going forward, and I don't think they do another expansion for Destiny 2. So the only way to continue Destiny as a game is to do Destiny 3. Now, the last thing I want to touch on real quick is the final change, is what I'm calling it. So Bungie released a bunch of concept art from the final shape, and before the delay, the ending of the final shape was extremely different. If you haven't beaten the final shape, if you haven't done Excision, go do Excision, then come watch the rest of this episode. If you have done Excision, this is for you. So, spoiler warning in 3, 2, 1. The ending of the final shape has us in a 12-man activity. All 12 Guardians summon their ghosts, and they basically channel the light through their ghost and do huge, like, special beam cannons, Masenko, whatever you want to call it, whatever Dragon Ball Z move you think of, that's what it was. Final Flash, Kamehameha, and they just beam blast the witness disappears, GG's. In doing so, our ghost loses their light and basically dies. We have this really heartfelt moment where we're pleading with the Traveler to bring back our ghost. And this line, whoever wrote this line knows what they're doing at Bungie. The Guardian, you, say, bring him back. You've raised an army. You can bring back one ghost. He's just a ghost. The ending in-game is Cade 6 shows up. Cade 6 channels his light into Ghost and then returns to the Traveler and basically dies. Tearjerker, fantastic. I'm not going to spoil what he says. You should be playing the mission before listening to this anyway. What Bungie released as the original ending was when the Guardian doesn't hear a response from the Traveler. The Guardian takes darkness and begins to channel it into his ghosts. And then the Guardian takes light and begins to channel it into their ghost. And with the fusion of light and dark, which is now in the Traveler, Ghost is reborn. I think it's a good ending. I think the one we got is much better, and I'm much happier with it. Overall, so far, this is a fantastic expansion. I can't stop playing it. I can't put it down. And I'm really happy with what we've gotten so far. With all that being said, let me know what you thought about the final shape down in the comments if you're watching on YouTube. Otherwise, you can tweet at Live from the Tower. All the Twitter handles and everything will be in the description of the podcast. Thank you all so much for listening, for watching, and until next time, fly safe, Guardians.